Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we are back with another recording session of Hearthstone. No, not recording session, recording. We've already done one recording. So, we need to play more cards that cost 5 or more, and we need to win 2 games as Priest or Warlock. We didn't win a single game. Let's play as Warlock again and try. I wonder if, since today is the day after Christmas, I wonder if there's a lot of people online right now playing Hearthstone. I wouldn't particularly assume that myself.
Gul'dan
I would think it's
Gul'dan.
probably a lot
Your soul shall be mine.
less people would be playing.
I am your nightmare.
Oh, so that's what he says. It might very well be a situation of only the good players are playing Hearthstone on the day after Christmas. And that might explain why I'm not winning very much or at all. I saw the Doctor Who Christmas special, and I have to say, this entire season of Doctor Who has been awful. Just completely awful. But that was a really good Christmas special. I really liked it. It seemed like a nice swan song. If you might maybe pardon the pun there a little bit, but
one shot, one kill.
But yeah, they pretty much are wrapping up the series because I think the guy who's been writing it for many years is gonna finally let go of the reins and let somebody else start doing it after either next season, starting next season, or after next season. And so they're wrapping up the Wife of the Doctor thread line. And so I don't think we're gonna see her in any more episodes, and I'm very okay with that. Because the way that was wrapped up was quite nice. Let's see, do I want to do this and draw the card? Yes, I will. And yeah, I just don't know.
Handle it.
There was nothing super special about it. It was, and for a Christmas episode, it really wasn't related to Christmas at all. But I liked it. Look, I don't want to spoil anything to it, I guess, so I'll just say I liked it, and that's it. Let's go ahead and play this. Oops, I played the wrong one. I meant to play that one. Unfortunately, that's practically the only thing that has been on TV at all in the past 2 weeks at least. I watched the Great Baking Championship, which is the American version of 6 episodes of the British baking competition. Was the Great British Baking Competition or something? Yeah, it's probably a joke. It's British Baking Competition for BBC, since that's their British Broadcasting Corporation. I would suspect that's what they were doing there, and I'm probably not very many Americans figured that out, because I just figured it out right now. So yeah, I watched that. That's fine. The hosts in the American one versus the hosts in the other one are just awful. The hosts in the American one are not good. Not good at all.
So many possibilities.
The judges are the same judges for both of them, and they're fine. But I had a thought for a baking competition I'd like to see. I don't know if I told anybody on the channel. Probably didn't. I'd like to see like a British, not British, a cooking competition where you have 3 very good cooks, just undisputably good cooks, and they have to ruin a dish and show their knowledge of the proper way to cook a dish by destroying it. So, for example, you would say you have to make spaghetti with marinara sauce, and in the rules that says you have to use some amount of pasta, you have to use some amount of water, you have to use some amount of salt, some amount of tomatoes, you have to make the marinara sauce yourself, some amount of olive oil maybe even optional, and so you list the ingredients and you say you have to use some amount of that. So you can't simply do the simple thing that most people would do if they were trying to ruin a dish. You can't just like not salt it at all. But you can oversalt it, but they should limit you to probably twice as much. That way you can't sit there and always have the same result. So it's a little complicated of a admittedly it's a complicated concept of a game, but so you give them the list. You have 3 judges. Now the 3 judges are competing to make the worst tasting dish, and it still has to be edible. It still has to be hygienic. If it's not edible because you put bugs or broken glass in it, no, that would be dumb. And I'm not sure how many cooks would really go on this show, because who wants to be on TV showing a dish that is just like the worst dish ever? But with this spaghetti example, how would I ruin spaghetti? Well, first of all, what I do is I would put just a cup of water boiling. Way too little water. Usually I do 6 gallons of water to boil to cook one box of spaghetti when I make spaghetti. So I do like a cup, way too few. Then I would take my box of spaghetti and I would take scissors and I would chop the spaghetti noodles and cut them into the smallest little bits possible, which is a huge no-no in Italian cooking. You don't break your spaghetti in half, you don't do any of that. The difference is,
in the light's name,
Job's done.
It can't hold on to the sauce if it's broken in half more, and it changes the consistency. It's the difference between like a brand new set of Velcro on like Velcro shoes or something, where it has a really tight hold on it, and then a really dirty, worn out Velcro shoes that barely have any of the hooks and loops left. That's effectively what spaghetti is. It's supposed to be a kind of hairball that you spin around that interlocks with itself to create a proper size bite. So I'd sit there and cut the spaghetti and break it to completely and ruin it that way. So then I would put probably way too much salt in it. Double the salt to just the maximum of salt there. But I would probably wait and put the salt right on top of it and not salt the water while it's boiling. I'll put the salt in at the very end, right on top, like it was pasta, like it was Parmesan sauce or something like that. So to make the marinara, I'd take the tomatoes and I would cut them into half, and that would be it. I would half the tomatoes and then make the marinara sauce out of that. I wouldn't de-seed them, I wouldn't mash it or anything like that. It'd just be giant bits of tomato. I'd put full parsley leaves in it, full leaves of other spices, just to ultimately ruin it. And if I was gonna do olive oil, I'd do way too much olive oil, probably at the end too, so it's just this oily, salty, tiny broken up spaghetti things with a runny marinara sauce with huge halves of tomatoes in it. And I'd probably, if I was an expert chef, which I'm definitely not, I would probably be able to think of like 5 other things I could do with that ingredient list to just really cook it at the wrong way. Maybe I'd burn the tomatoes, burn everything, just as terrible. You know, the more I think about this game show concept, I think what you'd have to do is you'd have to have 3 famous chefs who are willing to do this show every week, and then put them behind the masks, just like, or get 3 actors who aren't actually chefs to portray the other ones, but I don't think that would work that well. Boy, I'm about to lose, aren't I? Yeah, but yeah, you might have to put them behind masks or something just to protect their identity.
Job's done.
But yeah, I'd love to see a game show like that, because it takes your traditional cooking shows, where I love to watch cooking shows, but let's face it, they're all the same. You're given a dish, a lot of the dishes are all the same, and you're told to cook it as best as you can. Why can't we balance that out and have one show where you're given a dish and told to make it as worse as you can? And they kind of have done that with like the America's Worst Cooks series that I think is on Food TV, Food Network. That's kind of fun to watch, where you have 2 chefs that can really cook try to take teams of people that really can't cook and teach them to cook. But there is some dishonesty there, because there are people that really can't cook, and those people don't even make it on the show. It's like,
Victory or death! Your soul shall be mine!
But yeah. So I had that thought, then Doctor Who, and nothing else. And I haven't watched anything on Netflix. I'm thinking about getting a Roku, but honestly, I don't think I would use it that much.
Job's done.
So I'm probably gonna get like a Roku 3 instead of a Roku 4, just so one of my TVs can stream to that TV. But I'm probably not gonna use it as much as I think I am. that worked.
I'll fix you.
I'll kill that guy in the turn. Be nice if I actually won one of these games. That would be nice. One of the thoughts I've thought about, and I'm thinking I might do this. It very well might fill up my hard drive faster, but I'm thinking I'm gonna do You Don't Know Jax on the same day as Hearthstone. So Hearthstone has the requirement to get 30 plus done. But any day I get that done early, I feel like I can then turn around and just play You Don't Know Jack, and then I don't have to worry about it. Now, the opposite of that would be to not do that and start playing Dishonored, which honestly, in the middle of this holiday season, with my uploads and download speeds being horribly slow, because everybody else is using it for the first time in my neighborhood apparently, I need to probably get Dishonored going. Let's see. If you control a mech, discover a mech. Do I want to do this?
I'll fix you.
Job done.
But I should have done that. I should have played this and drawn instead of that. Oh well.
Tazdingo! Yes!
So, yeah, I should do Dishonored. I should start that. I should get into it. I've been putting off Dishonored quite a lot. We're getting down to Borderlands levels of putting off a game. I'm gonna go ahead and take that.
I'll fix you.
Kill that in the turn. Sadly, Borderlands is not looking likely to get done anytime. Maybe if I get past all the other things, I mean, there's a possibility there, but right now it doesn't feel like it's gonna happen. Let's get him in the face. The problem is it's an incredibly long series. There's been no announcement of Borderlands 3, so unless it's just gonna sneak out, I have at least a decent chance to play through 1, 2, and 3, or the pre-sequel, which is not 3, before they do anything. I think they're not anywhere close to being done because they just released relatively recently the Handsome Jack collection. And we know Gearbox has just opened the Montreal studio, so unless the Montreal studio is going to be focused on maintaining Battleborn, which maybe that's what they're going to be doing, that also might be for Borderlands 3 that they're building up to. Let's see. +1, +1. Let's hit this. And then hit this. And then do this.
Right on time.
And then do that. hit him in the face in return. That worked out well. So yeah, I guess maybe I could put at the very bottom of my list, very bottom of my list, a desire to play Borderlands. Get that done. But as I see it right now, I think I would have to be scheduled up at least till after October. Oops. I powered him up on accident? Oh well. Because I have the whole October list set up. I have all the other games that are releasing related to movies or other games coming out. Somebody else beat me to the thought of doing Ghostbusters, the video game, and is releasing that. In fact, it may have been the same guy that started doing Child of Light the same, too. I'm starting to get a little paranoid that he's got my list of games. He's listening to me talk about the list of games I want to play. Finally, we get a victory. But I doubt that's really the case. I got an interesting email today. Post-sale for adults-only anime sex games from indiegala.com, which is a website I use solely to get free Steam codes because they give free Steam codes to probably terrible games. I haven't looked at any of them. I'm building up this collection of games on Steam that I have for free, have gotten for free, and I probably won't ever even touch them. But that's fine by me as long as it's free. That will at the very least increase the number of games that I have, which would give me a different badge. Might give me more consideration. Plus, it gives me this more usefully. It gives me this whole backup of games where if I just cannot purchase any new games and I've played through all the ones I can recognize, I could just say, all right, we're doing these ones I got for free. So, I mean, but yeah, that's really ridiculous, and they didn't really know that I was a adult when they sent out this email. They seemingly sent it out to anybody in their list, and they're advertising, of course. But I mean, wow. And when I looked at them, they were not the Steam Sakura Spirit games where there might be some censored stuff.
Job's done.
They were hardcore. We are promising to show you everything. Probably 90% of all the scenes are going to show you some form of nudity. Types of games I couldn't even dance around and cover on YouTube. No way at all. And frankly, there's no reason to cover those games. Anyways, the real answer to all pornographic video games and all pornography in general is it's all terrible and nobody really cares. The people who buy it are gonna buy it straight up because of the cover and nothing else. So there's no reason to review it. There's no reason to try to be a discerning purchaser of such materials, because that's just not how things work out. Because they don't care about story or anything. Particularly in video games, it is that case. It is going to be super repetitive, super bad gameplay. The best ones are the ones that, I mean, if you were gonna say like Witcher 3, you could make an argument there's nudity and sex in that game. And that's probably the best example of a game with sex in it that you're ever gonna get, by far. Because they are so focused. The Witcher 3 is not focused on that, it just adds it as a little cutscene. Whereas adult games are completely focused on just showing you scenes. Don't put any effort on that. Most of them are light novels too, which means you're going to be doing a lot of conversations and a lot of talking. Let's see, what can I do? I have to play this, unfortunately.
Job's done.
So yeah, and I don't, even the non-adult light novels, I don't think I can cover. Now, I do have Honey Pop, but what's probably going to happen is I'm going to find some free time, play Honey Pop, and then have to edit out significant portions of it. Ideally, it would be nice if there's this feature that you can just skip those scenes. Because Honey Pop, in general, is a dating simulation puzzle match game that rewards the player with sex scenes, versus a sex game or adults only game that is going to immediately give you the sex.
Job
How many fingers do you see?
Oh. This is trouble? I don't think I can beat my own guy. Oops. Yeah, how do I defeat my own character? I'm gonna have to play something like this and attack it, I guess.
I wonder.
Wanted, dead or alive.
Deal 2 damage. Yeah, that doesn't help. So what else is going on? Nothing really. I'm looking forward to the Game of the Year discussions of Giant Bomb. I'm listening to the Escapists end of the year wrap-up stuff, and the Escapists in general has worn me out as a concept
Do you see?
of a show, because it's always the same. It's like they pick a concept that seems like out of a hat, and then they talk about it in high philosophical ways, but they don't talk about video games enough, really. Or they talk about XCOM or some other game that I'm not that interested in. Whereas I feel like Giant Bombcast, they talk about different games practically every week. So whatever game they're covering, they let whoever is covering a game to sit there and talk. They let him explain what's actually going on.
Job's done.
So, yeah. And then the Beastcast did an interesting thing where they, which is their spin-off of Giant Bombs, is the Beast, because it's half their crew moved to the east. I'm still a little afraid of this. I don't know if I mentioned this. I'm still a little afraid that by the end of the Game of the Year of the Bombcast, that they're gonna announce something like that they've all been fired, or half of them have been fired, and it's only the people in the East office that are saved, or half of the East cast, all the East people have been fired, and
Fine,
I'm afraid of that
yield.
because they moved everybody, and whenever you move everybody in an office, there is that chance that they tell them they're moving everybody in the middle of the Christmas holiday. There's a chance that they are really firing them and having them pack all their stuff up. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's not the case. Also, last year, Patrick Klepek, whatever his name again. Honestly, I haven't missed him this year since he's been gone at all. But he just at the very end of that announced that he was leaving the company. And how he left the company was he moved to Chicago, and they pretended like they were that they were maybe gonna keep him on with him working in Chicago by himself and just commuting and doing all of this stuff. And like, I guess it was kind of obvious. And there's a big difference between Patrick Klepek moving to Chicago by himself and nobody else going with him, and the Beast cast where 3 or 4 people are in New York. And so I guess there's a slight difference there. What do I want to do? Let's do that.
In the light's
Do
name.
that.
Feel
Let's
my
attack
pain.
here.
Job's done.
And in return. So yeah, I'm a little afraid that there's gonna be a major change. Now, I will say there is one major change that presented itself that I would be very happy with. There was this girl, I don't know her name, I'm sorry, but she, I think, works for GameSpot. And if it, in general, if they said they were going to shut down GameSpot, and a few of those people were going to Giant Bomb, which kind of makes sense that something like that would happen.
I'll heal.
I wouldn't be upset about that at all. But yeah, if they were gonna integrate all that. But if they just got this girl, who I think she might be the head editor or totally in charge there, if she was with them every week on the Beastcast, I would love it. Because unlike a lot of people that could be on the Beastcast, they just don't follow with the comedy of it, the ridiculous conversations, the complete and total just side conversations about silly things, talking about food, talking toilet humor. She was very funny, and she was totally in it. And honestly, a lot of people will say that it's gross, and frankly, a lot of women, I call her a girl, but she's a woman, of course, will fall into the stereotype where they'll just say that's gross and not be in on it. But no, she was not holding back. She was throwing, she was making, making jokes too. And yeah, I'd love to see her added to the cast, particularly when you fully admit that Giant Bomb has been very dude heavy for a very long time. It's there was it in the whiskey media days, like one girl on Comic Vine, and she, I don't know if she just got irritated with Tony Guerrero, who is the chief of Comic Vine, which frankly I would get irritated with him too. He has a very he has a way of being kind of childish and silly and all that. Man, I can't heal myself. Oh. So, yeah, I'm not surprised he hasn't driven away more people. He's not, at least on the top of it. He seems like he's downright harassing people and not joking with them, just joking at them type stuff. Making fun of them. So, but yeah, she was the only girl in the Whiskey Media office, and that's barely, I don't know if she even ever showed up or did anything for Giant Bomb. So maybe Giant Bomb itself has been 100% guys the whole time, as far as I recall, and they could use the right kind of female perspective there. Now, inherently in video games, there's a lot of weirdness that happens there, and one of the greatest examples I saw of that is when Revision 3 had Adam Sessler running their
In the light's name.
running their show, and they were trying really hard to, well, I think I've lost now. They were doing a marathon, and in the marathon they covered a game. There's this guy, kid, Nick something, Nick Swanson, I think, but I don't know. Okay. He was covering this game in this gaming marathon in the middle of the night, and then there was this other girl who was there. I don't even know what her name is. So I'm gonna get this whole story wrong, but I'll tell it anyways, since I started. So they start covering Typing of the Dead, which had recently come out. Now, honestly, that was probably a mistake on Nick's part. It's probably not a good game to be covering. I think what they were doing was people were suggesting games
Gul'dan versus Gul'dan.
On the chat, and they were just taking it then. So maybe that was the thing. It is kind of worth mentioning too that Nick, I'm pretty sure, is gay. So it was kind of weird in the sense that Typing of the Dead is this very made to be over the top game with characters who are completely stereotypes. There's a, I mean, straight up, there is a African American black character who is a stereotype of every black exploitation movie actor in there. There is a white character there that is a stereotype of every cop movie. I don't know if you'd really classify it as
Portals online.
white exploitation shows, but I mean, certainly there are actors in the past that were typecast as the white cop sidekick to the black cop, and then there are jokes about everything and what you type in Typing of the Dead is really nasty words if you choose that dictionary, which is what they were doing, and then you fight really like gross looking monsters of creatures, and one of them is, I'm pretty sure, just a giant like topless fat woman. And so there is intentionally, because of this game, just a lot of offensive stuff in that game. Undoubtedly, it is made to be offensive. And this girl in the marathon, while Nick was playing this, was just not having any of it. She was being really, really unprofessional. I don't know if she hadn't slept or what in hours. Maybe that was it, but she was just like super, super unprofessional. And I don't know if they got in a fight about something else or not, but eventually he's like, can you just be professional? And she's just sitting there and she's like, yeah, whatever, fine. And I'm like, wow. Okay. So, I don't know if that's really a gender thing, though, if I think about it, as more as just a professionalism thing. And there's way, that's a terrible example I just told too. I just realized it's a terrible example. Nick should have been, he's a young kid, so he should have been more professional and said, no, we're not covering this game, I know what this game is. Or he should have at the very least turned it off, or he should have offered to turn it off as soon as he saw that she was uncomfortable. And she absolutely should have been like, I mean, coulda, shoulda, woulda, or a dime a dozen, but she should have been like, I'm not cool with this game, can we find something else, please? And he should have done that too. And inherently, when you go back and evaluate any situation, that you can always come up with those solutions, but that's not what happened. Anyways, I'm 2 stories deep here. The point is, there are moody people that won't be into games like that, and there are games like that that are intentionally offensive, and often to be intentionally offensive, they will exploit women, and that Typing of the Dead is just full of people exploiting other people, and stereotyping people, and you have to be of the type of person who can see that as a joke and enjoy it as a joke and just roll with it and make fun of yourself. And the girl on the woman on Giant Bomb Cast seemed absolutely like she could do that, and I would love to hear her every week on there talking with the guys. Maybe I should just go listen to GameSpot's podcast if they do that, do one of those, and maybe I would hear her every week, so maybe I should just go investigate that. But then the girl on the Revision 3 games, which is completely defunct now, so you can't even listen to it, and I bet she probably, that girl's not gonna work in video games anymore. Is the kind of stereotype exact opposite of it. If you're gonna take offense in a fictional video game, you're not gonna have a good time regardless of who you are, is I guess a better way to say it. Then there's Morgan Webb, who I sorely wish was somewhere. I wish I could get her voice on video games, but since I don't think anybody's paying her to do that, I think she's got another job doing something else. Sadly, I really did want her to continue. Her and Adam, I guess they spent so many years doing it that they're just burnt out. Wouldn't be surprised if that's exactly the case. And then Adam Sessler is falling apart physically and probably sometimes mentally. He's gone on to do something completely different also, and that kind of sucks. And let's see. And Veronica Belmont, for a short time, was going to be in the games and covering video games, and oh darn it, screwed up. That's an oops.
Not quite what was planned.
So she probably still covers a few games, but she doesn't cover enough. It takes a special type of person, as I'm now probably just ranting, but it takes a special type of person to be a video game critic. You've got to play a lot of video games, and I don't know if there,
Fine, I'll heal.
it takes a very obsessive type personality to play that as many video games as are needed. So, yep. I guess that's where I'm gonna end that conversation. If you can find anything in that conversation that was useful or intelligent, great. But it was a little ranty. But yeah, I am, to go 3 stories back, I am slightly afraid that what is going to turn out to be the case is that there's going to be some major changes to
Fine, I'll wand.
to Giant Bomb, or Giant Bomb is just going to go all
In
the
the
way
light's name.
bye-bye, which would be devastating to me. And if that really is going to be the case, if it really did ever go out of business, I would have a significantly smaller amount of podcasts to listen to. It would give me probably 6 to 10 hours of probably like 6 hours a week back of free time, which is not free time because I listen to the podcasts while I'm scheduling videos and all that. So it would be me listening to other podcasts, and I'm always on the hunt for new podcasts and don't have the greatest luck. Like, for example, a lot of people talk about a podcast called Welcome to Night Vale, which is this weird surrealist-esque like podcast, and I tried to listen to it from the beginning, and it's just like it's just too much for me. I realized it wasn't gonna ever go anywhere. Was part of the problem with it. Let's see. If I do this, I can't do that. Well, I guess that works. Let's heal this. Just don't destroy this guy and we'll be fine.
Face the light.
Bear trap. Alright. So yeah, I couldn't get into Welcome to Night Vale. I've tried several other podcasts to get into and I couldn't get into them.
For the king.
More and more I'm falling off of other podcasts. Speaking of podcasts, unsurprisingly, the Giz Wiz from Twit TV is now solo and no longer affiliated with it, I guess. Yeah, that's not really super surprising.
Are you afraid of the dark?
Face the light.
That Leo Laporte is falling apart and destroying that. Leo Laporte and his wife, who's running it, are falling apart and destroying that channel. They have alienated so many of their good podcasters.
The gates are open.
They've just canceled shows. They're trying to move things to New York and start from that. I don't know what they think they're gonna accomplish there, just so they can get a whole new group of people that he can alienate and irritate. And so every single decent podcast is now run away from him and gone unattended. At least in my opinion, that's what's happened. Okay. How do we want to do this? I could kill this guy and kill this guy. Let's start by doing this. Alright. That works. So we do
Embrace
this.
the void.
We attack this. I could have healed this guy for one more. But
Face the light.
I'll just win. Hopefully. Darn it. End the turn. Oh well, I'll win next turn. So yeah, we're gonna be... If I get this victory, I'll have 2 out of the 3 needed victories, which would be great. But yeah, hopefully Giant Bomb, nothing changes, or something good happens instead of something bad. They hire more people. They could use some more people that would actually cover more games and bring more of their own personalities in, since that is a personality-based channel more than anything else. I don't think for a second that if I was to, if Giant Bomb went away, that would somehow turn into more views for me as a small-time YouTuber. It might, but it would be such a great loss to society that I don't think that would be a good trade-off at all. Well, speaking of trade-offs, I need 1 more victory and 8 more big ticket characters played. And we will do that next recording. Sorry if I was a bit rambly. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment if you want to, and watch every second of my videos. All that helps me out. If you want to support me, you can click on my name, Rydo. On the right is a blue button that says support this channel. Click it and make a donation. And if you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.